right, so we are going through on page 391 and 392. We're doing problems 4 through 7, and then on the back we're doing 8 through 12. So we know that we are multiplying, right? We are multiplying fractions. So in this one, we have to write and solve a multiplication equation for each of these representations. So I can see here they've given unit fractions, kind of like they did yesterday. And I know then that I'm multiplying by that unit fraction weight, but how many pieces are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 1/8. Well, if I multiplied that, that would be equivalent to 5/8. And if I look here, repeated addition, I would get the same thing. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8. Let's look at number 5. So this one's a little bit different. Why? Because these are not unit fractions. If it were a unit fraction, it would only be 1/10, but I have the fraction 2/10. So kind of the same as repeated addition, right? If you were to add all of those together, you know your denominator would not change, and you would have 2, 4, and 6. However, the problem is not asking you to use repeated addition. Remember, it's asking you for a multiplication equation. So what I would do is think to myself, how many groups do I have? I see 3 whole groups times what is the fraction in each group? 2/10. And I know that that's the same as saying 3/1 multiplied by 2/10. And I multiply straight across. 3 times 2 is 6. 10 times 1 is 10. Still arriving at the same answer, but providing that multiplication equation. Number 6. Calculate the distance Margot rides her bike if she rides 7/8 of a mile each day for 4 days. So that's her distance. She's doing that each day, and she's doing that for 4 days. Again, guys, just a reminder, it's really good practice to either box in, underline, circle, any of this key information that's going to help you solve your math problem. So I see here 4 days, and she's going to travel a distance of 7/8 miles each of those days. Now, if we really wanted to write it exactly how an equation should be written, we might let's put a B for bike equals B. Then you would go ahead and solve for B. Well, I know that this is the same as 4 over the denominator 1 multiplied by 7/8. When we multiply straight across, we would get a total of 4 times 7 is 28/8. So we could say something like B is equal to 28/8. Now we know, because good mathematicians know this, that you should not leave this written in this form as a fraction greater than 1. We should turn this into a mixed number. So we need to think, how many times will 8 go into the number 28? Well, 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32, and that's too many. So it's going to be the whole number 3, and we're taking away, if you can see, I'm going to write it right up here, minus 24, right? Because 8 times 3 is 24, and we have 28 minus 24. That would leave me with 4/8. Some of you may have gone on to even reduce this to 3 1/2, because we know 1/2 is equivalent to 4/8. Let's look at number 7. We have to calculate the distance that Tom rides his bike if he rides 5/6 mile each day for 5 days. So again, another bike rider. This time we have the whole number 5 to represent each of those 5 days. And then what's the distance he's going to travel each day? 5/6. So we could put a T for Tom is equal to T. Now we need to solve. T is equivalent to, many of you are already just kind of like putting this over 1 and just doing this in your head without rewriting it, and that's fine. 5 times 5 we know is 25, and then we're going to go straight across. 1 multiplied by 6 is 6. And we know that we need to change this fraction greater than 1 to a mixed number. 6 times what number will get me really close to 25? Well, 6 times 4 is 24. I don't think I can get any closer. So I'm going to take 24 away, and 25, take away 24 would leave me with 1/6 remaining. All right, let's turn it over. Let's look at the problems on the back. We have some word problems here, so we can apply what we've learned. It looks like we've got some beakers, and they are filled with juice. Kiona fills a measuring cup with 3/4 cup of juice 3 times to make punch. Write and solve a multiplication equation. So here we go again with the multiplication with a whole number and a fraction to show the total amount of juice she uses. All right, so we have 3. I see 3 groups or 3 beakers here multiplied by, in each beaker I see 3/4 cup, so times 3/4. And again, if we want to go ahead and solve, we could put this over 1 and then multiply straight across. 3 times 3, that's 9, and 1 times 4, that's 4. We know we're going to change this back to a mixed number. 4 will go into 9 2 times, and that's taking 8 away because 4 times 2 is 8, and then we'd be left with 1/4. Number 9. Each lap around a track is 3/10 of a kilometer. Some people pronounce it kilometer, some people pronounce it kilometer. Elliot maybe walked around the track 4 times. So I can see that here represented on the number line. So the question is, how far did he walk? Well, you could look just at your number line and count up, right? I see the whole number 1 here, and we're talking about tenths. So this would be 1/10, and this right here where he walked would be 2/10. So 1 and 2 tenths. You could also multiply 4 times 3/10. If you put that over 1, 4 times 3 is 12/10, and we know that 10 goes into 12 one time, so take 10 away, and you'd be left with the 2/10. Again, arriving at the same number that we got earlier. Number 10. A chef serves 5/6 of a pan of lasagna. Now, here's another part to this problem. Each piece is 1/6 of the pan. How many pieces did the chef serve? Sorry for the dog barking. Hazel, come here. Hazel. Come here. You are making this difficult. Not a good choice. Come here, friend. All right, back to business. Pizza and slices with our chef. So I can see that if we have 5/6, that's kind of like, maybe we want to draw a picture, right? 6 equal parts. We're thinking of a circle because it's actually not pizza, it's lasagna. I don't know why I said pizza. Because the dog is continuing to bark. Sorry, guys. So we have 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, 1/6, and 1/6. And it says here that the chef served 5/6 of a pan. So he served Hazel. No, ma'am. Come here. He served 5/6. The question is, how many pieces? Well, if each piece is 1/6, then that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slices. We know that because we have 5 times that unit fraction, 1/6, which would give us the 5/6. And we know that in this equation, the number that we're looking for right here, the whole number 5 represents the number of slices. Number 11, moving right along, we're almost finished. Wendy uses 2/12 of a loaf of bread to make 1 sandwich. Write and solve an equation to find B, how much of the loaf of bread she uses to make 4 sandwiches. Use a drawing as needed. So we don't necessarily need the drawing, but we could. So we have 4 sandwiches times, she has to use 2/12 for each loaf is equivalent to B. And so now we need to solve. Well, that's kind of like putting this over 1, and we know that that would be B is equal to 8/12. So she is going to use 8/12. Last one, number 12. A baker uses 2/3 cup of rye flour in each loaf of bread. How many cups of flour will the baker use in 3 loaves, 7 loaves, 10 loaves? So it's kind of like having 3 multiplication problems here, right? 3 times 2/3 and 7 times 2/3 and then 10 times 2/3. So if we solve those, we know that this is 6/3. And we know that if we want to turn this back into a whole number, that's the same as saying 6 divided by 3, which would be equivalent to, I'm going to write it right down here, 2. And then right here, 7 times 4, that would be the same as 14/3. And we know that 3 can go into 14 how many times? 4, because 3 times 14 is 12. So 14 minus 12, that would leave us with 2/3 remaining. And on the last one, we would have, it's the same as 10 over 1, so 20/3. 3 goes into 20 how many times? Well, I know 3 times 5 is 15. Maybe I can get another group. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 7 is 21. That's too many. So 6, take away 18, we'd be left with 2/3 remaining. So 6 and 2/3. So that is your math for today. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I appreciate your flexibility and sorry for the interruptions. You got to hear from Miss Hazel May today.